Do you sometimes give up, stall out, or even procrastinate because you just can't make a decision? Yeah, that's called analysis paralysis, and I've been there too. It happens. And I want to share what I've been through recently to help you know how you can beat analysis paralysis. So I have been looking at my YouTube channel and I really want to make some improvements. I really haven't been showing up consistently. I haven't been showing up in my normal coaching way. So I am an emotional mastery coach. My name is Stacey Rivera, and I help career professionals and entrepreneurs overcome anxiety and depression so they can leverage their full potential. I love this. I'm very passionate about this. If you're dealing with anxiety and depression, you don't have to stay stuck. There are some very strategic things that you can do to heal completely so you can go on and live your life in freedom. That's what I'm all about. But on my YouTube channel, I'm really overthinking the whole process. And so I haven't really been stepping up in just my normal kind of way. And so I've been researching quite a bit lately of going, how do I make this better? What can I do to improve my YouTube channel? And I've looked at a lot of things. Nate Black, wonderful videos about growing a YouTube channel. I've also read the YouTube Formula book by Daryl Eves. Again, lots of wonderful information. And then, man, the world of YouTube, there's so many great videos out there about how to grow, how to monetize your channel, what to do with thumbnails and titles. And there's so many things to consider. So many things. Thumbnails, titles, subject, audience. I'm just scratching the surface. There's so much that goes into growing a YouTube channel and showing up for your audience on YouTube. And so what happened is, as I looked at everything, really, I was overwhelmed by choices and my drive to do things perfectly. But then I remembered something important. This channel isn't about the perfect thumbnail or the perfect title or getting everything perfect. It's about showing up with a message of hope. It's about showing up for my audience so that others know that they don't have to stay stuck, so that others know they don't have to just manage anxiety and depression, which is what most people are doing. They're told that they just have to live with it, and so they just live with it. And so this is really about you, and this is really about that message. And so I don't have to get the whole thing perfectly. Like, I want it to be excellent, but right now I'm just starting out. Like, yes, I've been here on YouTube for a while, but really it's been very hit or miss. Like, I'm just starting out on this channel. And so I've got some things to learn. So the first thing I did is remember my why, like remember why I need to take action in the first place. Like, why am I even looking at this? So I remembered, okay, you're the audience and I'm here to speak to you. And so that's the first thing. And then the second thing, and the number one way I find that you can beat analysis paralysis, is to take imperfect action, to intentionally take imperfect action. So as I analyzed what happened with the YouTube channel, the first problem was I was overwhelmed by choices. There was so much information, so there was just so many choices. And the second thing was, again, that drive to be perfect, to make it perfect. So what really helped me was I decided just to let go of that perfection. I'm not going to get it perfect. So rather than procrastinating or waiting for it to be perfect, I decided to take action. And imperfect action is so important because it allows an opportunity for failure and for feedback. Yes, I said failure. And I know you might be thinking, Stace, but I don't want to fail. Yeah, I get that. But we learn so much for our failures. And until we step out there, we don't actually really know what works. And so on this channel, like, I don't really know what's going to work. Everything that I think about this channel and where it's going is all imaginary. It's all made up. Like, I'm not totally sure what you guys are interested in. I'm not totally sure how I want to convey the message that I have. And so I've got to take action to allow myself to fail. And I also, because again, I get amazing feedback from failure, definitely get so much feedback, but then there's also feedback just from doing it. When I actually do it, that's when I actually start to learn. I actually start to learn what this feels like and what this looks like. And from the feedback from my audience, then I can make improvements. And so the same is true, whatever it is that you've been dealing with, whatever you're analyzing and looking at, the way that you can really get going is take imperfect action, take that action. And that's going to allow, again, an opportunity for failure where you're going to be able to learn from that. You're also going to learn from your successes. And then, of course, you can start to get feedback of what's working, what's not working, start to get feedback from others. And this will help you reach your goals. Another way that I was able to put this into practice recently was with this book. So I definitely had to practice taking imperfect action with this. There's another place that I could have succumbed to analysis paralysis. There were so many choices, so many steps that go into just writing the book alone. But then once the book is actually written, there's so many other steps that go into publishing. And then after it's published, then there's launching, and there's all these little steps. Like, I have such deep respect for authors now. Like, I love to read. I really love to read. And now I have this deep respect for what goes into a book. And so, again, I could have waited for this to be perfect, but I needed to take action because I recognized, once again, my why is it was more important to me to get the message of hope into the hands of those who need that hope than it was for me to make sure that everything inside the book was perfect. And listen, it ain't perfect. So if you need help with anxiety and depression, definitely pick that up. As I was writing this book, again, one of the tips I learned from this was to focus on one step at a time. There's 1,000 steps that go into writing and publishing a book. And so I just focused on one step at a time. I just researched that, like, okay, what step am I on? I'd research that one step, and then I'd take action on that one step rather than worrying about step 100 when I was only on step 10. So that too really helped me to overcome analysis paralysis and get this book done. So now it's available to you at howtofightanxiety.com. So if you are dealing with anxiety depression, here is your manual for overcoming and healing. And this is a perfect example of putting your step-by-step process into action. So one of the things, if you're dealing with anxiety and depression, is getting overwhelmed by all the options. You want to break this down in a step-by-step manner and focus on one step at a time, and this book will help you do just that. Now, speaking of anxiety, you may be here because you're just dealing with analysis paralysis, but it might be part of a bigger problem. So one of the things I see with our coaching clients as they come to us and reach out for help is they describe that they have a huge problem with indecision. They have a hard time making decisions. And so the thing to understand about having indecision is really that's just a symptom of anxiety. And so one of the things that's so important is if analysis paralysis is your normal, to evaluate, okay, is anxiety part of the problem? And if it is, then you don't want to focus so much on fixing analysis paralysis. You want to work on healing anxiety. You want to get to the root of the issue. That's the key. And if you can start living out of more peace and joy, then the analysis paralysis will take care of itself. So I have personally overcome multiple severe anxiety disorders as well as bipolar disorder. And so, of course, I just gave you an example, right, where, yes, sometimes I am tempted to come into this analysis paralysis place for myself, right, where it's like, man, there's all these decisions and that can stall me out. But it's not out of anxiety. It's just part of life. And so I've been able to push through that pretty easily. But I realized that if anxiety is part of the story and I tell you, hey, take imperfect action, then that can be challenging for you, right? You're like, yeah, I want to, but there's some other things going on. One of the important things to note about the combination of anxiety and this indecision is brain chemistry. So that's one of the root issues that you're dealing with. And until you get that brain chemistry taken care of, again, you can apply these strategies for, hey, I'm just going to take action. I'm going to try to let go of perfectionism. I'm going to break this down step by step. But if you're dealing with anxiety and the brain chemistry is off, then you're going to have to continue to use these kind of techniques just to manage that. And I don't want you to have to manage it. In fact, that's one of the biggest things I like to share is that you don't have to just manage the symptoms of anxiety and depression. You can actually heal and get to that place of living out of peace and joy so that you're not dealing with those symptoms anymore. And when you change your effort and your energy into living instead of managing symptoms, wow, life is so much better. And again, you can pick up that book, How to Fight Anxiety. It's at howtofightanxiety.com and get your free copy. And I will walk you through those step-by-step pieces for overcoming. If you know that anxiety is part of the problem and indecision is there as well, so you really resonate with this, man, I just having a hard time, analysis paralysis has become normal for you, then understand again, it's brain chemistry. And the beautiful thing about brain chemistry is there's several key and strategic moves that you can make to improve your brain chemistry. And not just in the short term, but in the long term. It's so important for you. In fact, I'd love to know, like, what questions do you have around brain chemistry? So tell me, like, what are your questions? Because you probably have done a lot of research on this, and this might be another place where you're feeling a bit of analysis paralysis because you're doing research and I don't know what to do. So let me know what your questions are around that, and I'll look to create some content around those questions. If this video has been helpful to you so far, I would love for you to hit that like button and subscribe. I'm going to be back here with more content. I haven't made all the decisions around what that's going to look like because I am practicing that imperfect action. I'm not going to succumb to analysis paralysis. So I will be here to create more content for you, to encourage you and inspire you to create more peace and joy in your life. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Here's one more thing I want to share with you just to make you smile. So I'm an adult, if you haven't noticed. Yeah, the gray hair kind of gave it away, right? And I love Lego. And I don't know, maybe there's something in your life like this. You're like, man, is it a kid thing? But I still love it. I'm so curious. Actually, drop below, drop me a comment if you love Lego. Or again, maybe what's your thing? Like, what's the thing that you feel like, oh, maybe I should have given up that years ago, but you still love and it just brings you joy? Well, for me, that thing is Lego. And I have incorporated this in various ways with our coaching clients over the years, just because it's fun. I want to make sure people know that to overcome anxiety and depression, the whole point is to have more peace and joy. And I had a coaching client recently say that anytime she sees Lego, she thinks of me first. So funny. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you and just encourage you to do things that bring your heart joy. And so whether that's getting some Legos out and having some fun, or in some other way, then definitely do things that are giving you joy and that peace. What'd you think, Coach Stacy? Well, it wasn't perfect. Well, what'd you think, Coach Stacy? Well, it wasn't perfect. I think you missed the point. 10 minutes for the outro. Bye now. See you next time.